Good morning and welcome to Colliford Lake in Bodmin Moor. Got a large expanse of water. They always judge it by lots of football pitches, don't they? Today we are here to have a look at some sticks. Probably could have put it a little bit better than that. Some trees that have been sunken, and at various times of the year they expose themselves more or less according to the amount of water that has fallen. Now this has been the wettest March in the south of England since 1982, so I'm expecting quite a lot of these trees to be submerged. Right, so I'm at the northwest part of the lake. It's in a peculiar, almost sort of a W-ish shape. There's two distinct areas broken up by some water here, which I'm not going to paddle through. I'll take my time and go a bit round. We've got a lot of wind, so I think it's going to be a case of absolutely no chance will I get a mirror-like effect, which is what I was kind of hoping for. But considering it was gusts of 69 miles per hour here yesterday, it's hardly surprising it's a little bit problematic. Ideally, you'd want things that aren't crossing over. This is heading out towards the main lake out here. So that might in fact be a best place to sort of head for over on the foreshore, sort of here-ish. Got some areas that we can isolate. The issue is that the taller ones are slightly waving. So what I was going to do was put a 10 stopper on and maybe aim for a 30-second or something like that composition.
I think this location would be one where you'd need to adjust your positioning really carefully, because every adjustment would make a considerable difference. You just take your time and hone in on those little vignettes.
I'm lucky because I have a tripod with some mega spikes on, which will give me some stability, but it absolutely won't ensure my subject is stable. But what I really would like, as I say, this is probably why I'm going to have to come back, is to get some with reflections. But I'm going to be stubborn and I'm going to try some just for now, so at least I can see and recce for hopefully a return visit.
Now, my friends, there's a fine line between stubbornness and stupidity, and I tipped over into the latter with this idea.
Okay, we are going to officially call this one because it is so windy and we've got lots of showers coming through that we're not going to be able to really get sort of what we want. Now, I must confess, I'm not actually very good at calling things and saying, no, it's not right now, well, we'll come back. Because normally I want to stubbornly take a shot, and I would have done, except it would just be that in the wind, which actually is going to frustrate me. So, on to another location. I think we're going to head towards Holywell Bay, but I bought my infrared camera. So I thought if we have some skies that are fairly interesting, it might be worth having a look and see if I can go up into the dunes and perhaps shoot the beach and the lovely, I think it's Gull Rock, I'm not sure, shoot that from the dunes and just see perhaps whether or not those grasses go white. It could be quite interesting. What could be a disaster? But what the hell, let's give it a go.
Holywell Bay is approximately 6 miles by road from Newquay in the north coast of Cornwall. It's got a huge beach of golden sands, backed by vast grass dunes. The grassland is a site of special scientific interest, and at low tide you can make your way right along the coast to visit St Cuthbert's Cave and explore a holy well.
Welcome to Holywell Bay. My job right now is to eliminate bits of foreground so I don't get a huge gap between these grasses and Gull Rocks there. Not as easy as it looks because there's just bald patches everywhere and some dead grass, so I'm having to try and leap about and dump my gear and try and find something so I don't have that huge gap. It's quite windy, you might be able to notice that, so I'm having to keep everything low When I originally came here, I thought, oh, I might do a long exposure, but actually I want to keep some of that texture in that water. And it kind of looks a bit painterly.
By heck, those dunes are vast. I think this side and the main view would look really interesting with some late afternoon light on it. So I'm just going to have to come back. I also think this is one of those places where there's lots of hidden gems or places to explore. You just need to give yourself the time. But today wasn't going to be that day. We had places to be and a deadline for being in St Ives.
Right.
This gives you some indication of the strength of the wind. Hence, a long exposure really wasn't a bright idea.
Didn't want to have great swathes of foreground with nothing in it, so I try and get low, so I had the grasses that were trying to fill in the gap between the foreground and well, actually just minimise the midground. Not really sure I've got what I wanted. There's not much light going on today. There's a couple there. I think I might go for a sort of more panoramic style of 3x1 that would minimise the foreground impact. I think that might be a way forward. Oh, and by the way, infrared didn't work a jot. Bloody awful. So we're trundling off to St Ives now so that we can have some time with the family. Not sure what I'm going to be able to get. We've got 3 days there before we go to Land's End. Well, there is no doubt about it. 6 o'clock in the morning is definitely the time to get up and reach about St Ives, a time where it's quite crowded. I was hoping to catch the harbour. Upon reflection, I think there's going to be a lot more lights on in the evening than there are at Blue Hour in the morning. Meanwhile, I think I'm going to do a bit of an explore. Just going to swing you around, if I can do, to about this area here. Somewhere in the background is a little bit of sexy cloud, and somewhere over there is Godrevy Lighthouse, which is on a rock in the sea. And hopefully I'm going to be going over to shoot that at some stage. The wind's still fairly strong at times, a few gusts, so that actually might make it quite interesting, or just blooming dangerous.
God, look at that sunrise, look at those clouds. Wrong direction, but very lovely to look at from the bus station where I was standing. I get all the glamorous places. Now at this time of morning and at this time of year, St Ives is an absolute gem to walk around. I'm told that many of the locals have actually moved out to make way for accommodation, which I think is really quite sad. I think it's happening more and more to our Cornish and Devonian towns. I think there's no doubt about it, there's an awful lot to shoot in this area, particularly at this time of day when there's nobody about. But it wasn't for me on this occasion.
Well, St Ives has been really interesting, but it's also been a nice time to stop and just kind of look at people watching. My God, this place in summer must be absolutely heaving. But just get up really early and to just walk around and have the place to myself. That's what's been special about St Ives. Tonight I'm going to hopefully go to Godrevy Lighthouse. Probably won't get anything original, but just be nice to get out and just do some more seascapey stuff.
Well, up the road by the looks of it.
Well, welcome to Godrevy. I'm here to shoot the lighthouse, but actually behind me, I'm hoping you can see, a very famous surfers beach. I believe there is the world champion kite surfers kind of competition that takes place here. Now the object of my affection is that lighthouse out there on the rocks. So Godrevy is about 25 to 30 minutes drive from St Ives, which is right round the bay there. It's pretty spectacular, but I'm just going to have to make sure that I can try and get something interesting happening with the rocks. You'll see what I mean shortly, and I suspect that actually as the sun goes down I might even be able to feature some of the rocks and slightly forget the lighthouse, which seems a little bit like a travesty, but quite nice. Not too windy. It is though about 8 degrees, and when the wind does come up it's proper chilly. So I have got my very attractive over trousers on, which makes me look like a 10-ton Tessie. We've parked about 10-15 minutes behind me at the National Trust car park. There is another car park up here which looks like it's more the official Godrevy one, but it's closed.
There were actually some interesting compositions in the opposite direction to the lighthouse, but I probably left it a bit too late to capture these properly. I took the first available path to go down to the beach, but actually about 2 or 3 minutes further on there's a proper set of steps.
Really quite slippy. It's quite beautiful rock when you get up to it. These little streams that are coming in, but it is quite beautiful. This is much more confused than I was anticipating. When you look at these pictures, you don't appreciate this. So you've got this here, lovely, 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 lovely. Great, 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 great. And then just loads of boulders between you and your desire. Okay, this is about as far as I can go. Everything that looked like it was going to be quite interesting to stand on isn't, because it's all cut off. So, oh, look at this rock here. That is some more crazy rock, baby. Colour of that water though. It's what I include and what I exclude. I think a 16 to 35, maybe on about a 20-ish might be wise. I don't really have much option as to what I can do. I'm not going to show you the back of my camera at the moment. My issue is this. Just here, this streak of light, as you can see, just here, is problematic in my shot. So I'm hoping that some of that cloud diffuses it a little bit later on. What I've got in are these rocks on the left-hand side here. I've obviously got the lighthouse in there. It's quite small. I'm on about 20 millimetres. And then just down here, I've got this rock in here. They look nice. I'm doing a long exposure at the moment. It's very calm. Plus side, I'm not cold. Downside, there's really no action in the water at all. So what I'm trying to do, oh gosh, is essentially there's a triangle in there, triangle shape in there, which sort of is leading up towards that rock on the right, and then up and out here. We're going to get absolutely no sunset because it's gone down behind a bank of cloud.
Well, this wasn't the shot that I anticipated getting at all, but I think I quite like it.
Well, I've come back to Colliford Lakes because I was going to come and shoot the submerged trees, but it is far too windy. And I guess I would need to say to you, thanks ever so much for watching. If you've discerned any value at all in what you've seen, I'd love it if you could give it a like or subscribe, and whatever happens, wherever I am, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.